appreciate everyone coming. I'm Nick Black. I lead the Safety and Security Task Force for Soar. Fortunately, I've seen many of these faces before, so it's really good to see a packed house. I can't recall how many we have on Zoom, but I think it's 100, maybe 200. So very, very big interest here in tonight. So as you can see, we have a very distinguished panel, and we have one guest bonus speaker that's going to come up and talk a little bit as well. I won't reveal right now. That's going to be a little secret that I'll bring up shortly. But what I will say is security, safety, we have a passion for that. Everyone in this room, which is why you're here today. I will say that one of the most difficult things to do is when you're in a situation that Streeterville is in right now, is to lead with emotion. But I will ask that have respect, have grace, dignity. We want to ensure that we treat our panelists with respect and grace. And if you have a phone that is not turned down, tried to ignore the first 7 of them, but I had to say this public service announcement. So yeah, please put your phones on vibrate. But again, this isn't back in the 60s when you were recruited to do something. These guys volunteered to do their job. And they're doing it to the best of their ability. They're going to come up today. They're going to give a little bit. I'll give a little bit about their background. But what's important is they're going to talk about what they know and what they're going to do, some things that they're considering 2, 3, 4 months out, years out. We don't know everything, but I can say that this panel knows way more than us. And so again, just think about grace and compassion when you get to the Q&A side. Just know that these guys volunteered for this role and they're doing the best that they can. So with that, I am going to proudly read off Commander Barr's of the 18th District bio, and then I'll bring him up for a couple of remarks. Commander Mike Bars is a 27-year member of the CPD and currently serves as the commander of the 18th District. Previously, Commander Bars was the executive officer of the 16th District. His years of experience include serving as the Deputy Chief of Community Safety Team, commanding officer of the department's Summer Mobile Patrol, lieutenant in the 10th District, sergeant in the Confidential Investigations Section within the Bureau of Internal Affairs, homicide detective in Area 5, Detective Division, as well as patrolman in the 19th District on the watch, as well as the gang team. Try saying all that. Like, I read this 18 times and still fumbled over. Truly, truly incredible. Please give a hand for Commander Mike Bars, our 18th District Commander. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Nick, for that kind introduction. And I want to thank everyone for being here. It's an honor and a privilege to speak before you about the 18th District. The 18th District is a unique place to police, and it's my honor to serve amongst the men and women who serve you every day. I'm extremely proud of what they do every single day, day in and day out, from the beaches to the protests to just ordinary calls for service for public safety. And I want you to be as proud as I am of them. Today, I have a short period of time, so I wanted to speak what's top of mind to many of you, and that's the teen trends. But first, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. I would like to thank Northwestern for hosting us and just say that they're a great and an amazing partner of the CPD and public safety, especially in the 18th District. I would like to thank Chris from OEMC coming here today. He'll tell you a lot about how we work hand in hand with them, and they are critical to our success in public safety. And I'll say you can tell exactly what they do. I would also like to thank Glenn Brooks for coming today. He'll speak to you about the DNC, so I won't speak about that. I'll speak about just briefly about the teen trends, which I know is top of mind, and it's been in the news. I'd like to concur with the president and say this is one of the best neighborhoods in the city, and we intend CPD to keep it that way. And we have addressed the teen trend issue in a variety of ways, and I'll just lay out what we have done. And I know that it's been covered in the news and it's been frustrating for a lot of you. And I want to thank you for your patience and know that when our first priority is public safety for you, and when there is a crime that occurs, the men and women here do an excellent job of arrest and then obviously prosecution. So they are out there, and I'm hoping that you do see them in large presence as we go forward on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And what I ask also is that we have flashpoint locations that we deploy people to. And if you see that we're not at that location, please let us know. And the biggest takeaway tonight that I can give is that this is a collaborative effort with SOAR, with the citizens, with the police department, and we have thick skin. And if we are not serving you in the way that you think is satisfactory, please let us know how we can improve our service to you or where we need to deploy better. So again, I say Streeterville is a beautiful place to live and visit, and we encourage everyone to come here and visit. We want everyone to come here and enjoy this beautiful place. In instances where we've had teen trends or large group gatherings, we will continue to have a large presence in different areas, whether it be the theater, whether it be on Illinois, and anywhere you see the bowling alley, restaurants, et cetera. And if there's places that we're not seeing, please let us know. And I think I'm hoping that you've seen a large presence here. And when we've had unfortunate instances, we've had police respond immediately and make arrests. We have partnered with our businesses throughout this area. We've asked them to do things for their, whether they have additional security, whether they have escort policies, whether we have a policy of just letting in maybe 1 or 2 kids at a time into their establishments to reduce the opportunity for our kids to, whether it be theft or any kind of vandalism. Because know this, that we have zero tolerance for committing crimes, the CPD, and we always and will always enforce that with an arrest. We've met with 322 East Illinois. That seems to be a flashpoint location, and we have asked them to do ID checks. We've asked them to do communicate with us when they see a greater presence. I know a lot of you say, well, how do you know that the kids are coming down? We do monitor all the time through our counterterrorism unit, as well as our SDSC room, which is our nerve center in the 18th district, on open source social media. And that's important because we cannot monitor private accounts. We cannot monitor private groups, et cetera. So most of our intelligence comes from open source social media. And when we respond to that with additional resources, as soon as we see that, there is a possibility that we could miss something that's private. And if we ask that, if you see something, a group or an area or a flyer or something like that, even though we may have seen it, please send it into our CAPS unit, send it into the SDSC room of the 18th district. Too much information is not a bad situation for us. So even if we see it, we'll thank you. And if we don't see it, we'll respond accordingly. So we appreciate if you continue to work with us, because I know you live here 24/7. We patrol this area. You probably know it better than us, and we appreciate your collaboration with that. We are going to have an additional presence of CPD officers. I hope you see it as well. We just had influx of probationary police officers on Michigan Avenue that will assist us in large group gatherings as well as teen trends. So hopefully that you see that presence. If you do not see that presence, please contact me directly so that I can address that. We will do email blasts through our CAPS office to alert businesses if we do find out about a flyer, an event, a large group gathering, or anything like that, so we can let you know and what our response will be as well. And our response is always going to be a large presence, and we'll enforce the law. And one of the at 10 o'clock when there's curfew, we enforce curfews. We do a lot of curfews on Fridays, Saturdays as well when there is large groups, and that seems to be working well to disperse the crowds after 10 o'clock. I would like to thank also the violence interrupters from City Hall that do come down and assist us in the de-escalation of these incidents. They're very helpful for us in de-escalating these teens and also dispersing crowds as well. I'd also like to thank Glenn Brooks. He's out there with me all the time as well. And he is an excellent advocate for de-escalation of these teens. We do monitor social media, like I said, and the important distinction of that is that we only monitor open source media, social media that is public only. So if you see something that we're missing, please let us know. One of the things that's a force multiplier in the 18th district is the cameras. We have a very aggressive SDSC room that monitors cameras down here 24/7. We have 2 excellent officers on each shift around the clock we have a series of large group gathering spots, or whether it be down in Streeterville, for large group gatherings or teen trends or beach takeovers or any of those things that we're constantly watching on cameras, and those cameras are in real time. So they notify whether it be the watch commander, which is a lieutenant position, as well as the sergeant, and is all the way down to the beat officer or the foot officer. So we can get real-time information about those crowds and act accordingly. We do ask the CTA to have increased presence on the south side lines or any of the lines coming in, and we monitor ridership of CTA. So if there's a high ridership on a Friday night and it's coming towards the north, or it's coming from anywhere, we know to plan accordingly. So that is a good partner to have in the CTA by providing us real-time ridership information of public transportation. We do also enforce the curfew. Like I've said, we've enforced the curfew. That's been an effective tool for us to get teens out of the area. As soon as you see your friend or your buddy get curfew, they tend to leave immediately. And then we also monitor and we build ride shares, Ubers, et cetera, so people can leave safely. We do have a critical incident response team. We call it CERT units that we often use for these instances. And they've been a very good, they're public. I mean, they're uniformed presence officers, highly visible, and they deal with these crowd situations all the time. So we've been using them a lot on the weekends, and you'll see more of them as we continue to go forward in the summer. And then most importantly for you, I want any of the input that you have about what you're seeing and what we're doing. If it's adequate to you, if it's not adequate to you, please let us know. Get involved with our CAPS programs, our CAPS meetings. Email me directly, call me. I'm accessible to you 24/7. Please let us know how we can serve you better. And in these teen trend issues are a delicate issue for us, because we want everyone to come down and enjoy it as part of the city, but we also don't want them to commit any crimes or vandalism. And we want everyone to be down here safely and enjoy the summer. So I want to thank you for having me here, and I look forward to your questions. I appreciate it. Thank you. Too much of the time.
Okay, thank you, Commander Barrs. He means that. I talked to Sergeant Shank and Commander Barrs quite frequently. If you guys have some questions, filter them through me or call them directly. I do have a PSA though. Every one of you guys should have this in front of you. If you notice, there are a couple of QR codes on here. One is going to take you directly to Soar, so you can find out a lot more about us. 49 years, we're going on 50 years in the neighborhood. That is, can we get a round of applause for Soar? 59 years? All right. Also, equally as important, on the back, we have a QR code that will, SOAR is taking a position on the curfew that was just mentioned, that the alderman is looking to stand up. So if you can scan that, if you are pro curfew, then please enter your name, and that'll go with the alderman's office, Alderman Hopkins. Next, I think I mentioned at the top of this that we do have a star guest. I'm not going to read his bio. I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about himself. But if you will give me an introductory round of applause for Director Brooks with Chicago Police Department. He is side by side in the DNC subcommittee meetings, leading those with Secret Service. So he's going to share some very, very timely information with us. So give him a round of applause, please. Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening. Which one am I talking into? So the big one? All right, here we go. Good evening. My name is Director Glenn Brooks. I'm with the Chicago Police Department. I am over what we call our Office of Community Policing. And I'm also assigned to what they call special projects, or as the little title on the bottom of the job description says, any other duties assigned. And that means a lot around here. Let me just add to the commanders on teen trends. I'm assigned 90%, well, to 90% of all teen trends. Meaning, like last night, I didn't leave the 31st Street Beach until well after midnight because we had a teen trend there. I will tell you, the 18th District and your commander has done an excellent job about teen trends. I know it doesn't always seem that way. Trust me, I get some of those same phone calls. Don't worry, my other half is on next door too. And she calls me about all the messages. We lived right across the street from the river. I used to live at the Seneca over on Chestnut, so I'm very familiar with the neighborhood. And we understand that this is a huge challenge. And I just want to hold up one other particular unit that makes a huge difference with these 10 trends. And those are those officers on those bicycles. They are absolutely key to when we have crowd control situations. There is a complete coordinated effort that's going on here. And I know, how do I say this? Because I have a TV camera here and, you know, I'm trying to keep my good government job. My mother doesn't have a basement. Yeah. The delicacy here is this. We respect every single person's constitutional right. All right. We respect every single person's right to live, go to and from as they wish. And we understand young people. We understand young people sometimes act array. I was guilty of it too. But what we don't tolerate and will not tolerate is criminal behavior. The superintendent has been clear with all of us. We cannot tolerate criminal behavior. If we see it, take action, pure and simple. That is how do I say this? That is our stance on that, period, full stop. And in case you doubt it, this morning, I was trying to get from my car to the front door. Superintendent pulled up and had a very long conversation. When I say conversation, well, one of us was talking about the teen trends. Okay. So I can't tell you how clear we are about criminal behavior and taking action. This is not going to be a free-for-all. At the same time, I promise you, we're going to protect your rights and every other person in the city. So that's my little soapbox there. All right. Let's talk about DNC, what you're all worried about. So a couple things here. First of all, we've been working on a DNC since August, was our committee's first meeting. However, the department began working on it immediately after it was announced. And one thing that will be dramatically different from all the other DNCs is that we have the wisdom from every large event that happens in a city. Now, the DNC is a big thing, right? It's going to be about 50,000 people coming there. We're going to have another 30, 40,000 reporters. Then we're going to have, let's say, 10, 15,000 people who want to come and kind of hang out with the DNC. So we're about 100,000 people. That's really on the high end. I'm just going to tell you that now. Do you know this city regularly has people in here at 100,000? What was it, 3 weeks ago? Northwestern, what was here about 3 weeks ago? Sueños? No, something bigger. The radiological convention. Yeah, you who? What? They were on? There was nobody on my couch. We have that little place called McCormick Place that regularly hosts large events. We have these little things that called Wrigley Field. We do have the White Sox. I'm not going to talk about them. They have between, and I've never won this, 37,617 people come through the gate. All right. If any of you played 50-50 or whatever, I've never won that guessing game. Same with the Sox, same with the Bears Stadium. Last night, guess who was in town? Janet Jackson. That's another 30,000 people. We can handle large events. We have the capability, we have the infrastructure to handle it. We do it well. Now let's talk about something else that we are doing better and better at. I know this upsets you too. Protests. Every week, and I get to walk up and down every week with them. Again, other duties as assigned. From Michigan Avenue all the way to Federal Plaza, on every single street within the loop, we've marched and had protests. Every last one of them. We're going to have another one this weekend. It's just the way it is. We are very good at handling that. What we also have been getting good at is communicating. Now, here's the thing with communication. How many people are married here? You guys are all advanced to me. I've never been married, but this is what I hear. In order for it to be successful, communication is key. And communication, I don't care how good you're at it, you can always be better. And so what we are really focused on in the DNC is that communication, is making sure that you have timely, accurate information. We've learned this from 2020. We learned that the better that we communicate with people, the better people are prepared. There's going to be some interruption, but it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. So first thing, everybody here wants to know what streets are going to be closed, right? Here's what I hate to tell you. I can't tell you. The Secret Service is going to release that. Now, the date that they've given they're going to release it is approximately July 15th. Now, rewind. This is not an album drop. At 12:01, you cannot go to their site and download the maps. What is going to happen, though, it's going to be a time frame. It's a government time frame. There is no precise date. The only precise date that they have is April 15th. Okay, that is it. Other than that, they don't have a precise date. So I would plan on the middle to late July of those maps coming out. The second thing I want to say about that is that there are two primary areas. It's going to be McCormick Place and United Center. Okay, those are going to be the places of business for the DNC. Those places there are going to have the most impact. We are spending a lot of time in reaching out to those neighborhoods because those neighborhoods will have some fencing. We'll have some very stringent requirements getting in and out of it, okay? So that's our primary focus there. And what we've done is go out in those neighborhoods. We've conducted canvases, 2 canvases in that neighborhood where we've asked those people, hey, what are some of your concerns? And like many of you, you know what the top concern was? Come on, give me a guess, somebody. Amazon. How am I going to get my packages? That's what people are concerned with. Then they want to know how they're going to get home and where they can park. All right. We are taking all that information. We put together an FAQ. We'll put together an answer to those questions. In addition to that, we're putting together opportunities for people to get their ID. ID is very important. A lot of people don't think about it. If you drive and you fly a lot, your ID, you have it on it all the time. That's not with everyone. My father is getting older. I haven't told him, but he might be stopping driving very soon, but no one tell him that. And after that, I promise you, he doesn't care about his ID. And it's just one of those things that many people don't have. So we're working in those communities to make sure people have ID so they can get in and out of the area. Those are the kind of issues that we're concerned there. Then here's the second criteria. So let's think of that as kind of the center of the circle. Then let's go out a ring. The second ring is going back to the protest. We know they're not going to be protesting inside the United Center. That's not happening. They're not getting in. But we also know, and everyone here knows, that protests can pop up anywhere in this city. We also know there are 40+ hotels that delegates are going to be staying in. We also know there's going to be a minimum of 5,000 parties, fundraisers that people will be going 2 that's going to be hosted by various interests that people may agree, may not agree with, others they just don't care about. And those are all potential spots where protesters can go. The Chicago Police Department is responsible for that. And when I told you we started preparing for this in August, what that really means is we started preparing our training. The last week, I think it was last week, we invited the news media to come and see some of that training. All right. I promise you they saw a slice, and it wasn't a very big slice. We have been training our officers to deal with protests, to deal with large crowds, and to prepare for the DNC since that time. There's a lot of effort that we're doing, and the superintendent will tell us again and again, we can't plan for everything that's going to happen, but we can prepare. And that's what we've been doing, is preparing. As we go for that second kind of circle, we've been preparing for people to do different types of protests to manage the traffic. The other thing that we want to do in that second circle is making sure we're giving out timely information. Does anybody have the OEMC app? Better as 911? All right, Chris is here. He's going to tell you all about it. And if he wasn't planning on it, now he is. He is, but it is going to be one of our central points of information and distributing it. Second place that we know people come to, poor Chris Schenk. Many of you have his number. Many of you know how to find him. And when you have a problem, you call him in the middle of the night. And you know how I know? Because I'm usually standing next to him as he's getting that phone call. You can still reach out to your community policing office. You can still reach out to that Twitter. We will be pushing information out there. Our third avenue is you, groups like Soar, making sure that we connect and plug in with Soar and other neighborhood organizations so that information can be amplified and pushed out. What we did come to the decision to is not to create a new app for this. Everybody has 20,000 apps, okay? And you forget your password to about 90,000 of them. And so we know that's not the answer, is to create a new app. It's really to leverage the communication streams that are out there. All right. Then let's talk about the outer circle. Those are going to be everybody who comes into town. All right. Oh, let me back up. I forgot one big thing, and I'm sitting in Northwestern. Employees. All right. So what we anticipate is that there's going to be some impact on traffic. However, that impact on traffic is nothing we haven't seen already. All right. We are not recommending or suggesting to anybody to take a long vacation, to work from home. We are telling you that you'll be able to come to work like you normally do, unless you are in where? The zone of McCormick Place, or, and right now we are in neither, all right? So everybody at Northwestern can come to work, which includes my son's mother. So that's very key to know. The last thing I want to go in that last circle is everybody else who's coming into town. Even though there might be 50,000 people coming in here, I'm sure the Hotel Association will tell you we have 250,000 rooms. We want more people still to come. There's still going to be other activities coming into the city. People are still coming in from the suburbs and et cetera. We want to get information to them so they understand what impacts there are. We don't anticipate that they are going to be severely impacted. Yes, they'll be impacted in those particular routes. Yes, they will not be able to go visit the president in his hotel. Yes, you can't, drive in front of the motorcade. All those things that normally happen. We've seen when the president comes in, we know we're going to close certain streets, but this is not going to be New York, where half of Manhattan is shut down when the UN comes into town. Okay, we're not anticipating that kind of thing. I would like to close it out with this. Once the maps are published, we have no problem coming back to answer more questions. The key to our success with this is to have this open line of communication. Okay? I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm going to stay around for a couple Q&As. I do have to let you know by 7:30, 7:45, I have a hard stop today. Other than that, thank you for your time.
We all have a hard stop, Ed. We'll be long gone. Thank you so very much, Director Brooks. What a pleasant surprise and a wealth of knowledge. Now, moving on to our next panelist, Christopher.
Patinio in it, Chris. Only my boss, wife, and mother.
Chris Patinio is a master's prepared professional with 11 years of progressive domestic and international leadership experience in profit, non-for-profit, and government institutions. He currently serves as the manager of emergency management and services at the Chicago Office of Emergency Management and Communications, OEMC. Specializing in emergency management and safety, Chris is certified in CPR, Jumpstart, pediatric advanced life support, interoperable communications, EMT, and more. Without further ado, please welcome Chris.
Thanks, Josh. That's just that name. Oh, it's all good. All good. Good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to start out real quick just by explaining what OEMC is. So 25 years ago, or a little bit more now, in 1995, OEMC was created. It started off as OEC, the Office of Emergency Communications. We've grown a little bit since then. In our time now, OEMC is most known for 911. Taking your calls from 911, call taker takes the call, goes to a dispatcher who then communicates with police or fire. On the other end of the spectrum, we have 311, non-emergency. So you can use the 311 app or call 311. Call takers then enter it in. It goes into an online platform, which then goes to the city service department for which your issue can be handled by. So 911 and 311. We handle about 20,000 calls a day, half of which require dispatch of city services. It could be only police. It could be only fire. It could be police and fire. It could be the large 4-alarm fire we had yesterday, in which I think I counted no less than 20 different city agencies all out there at the same time. So 911 and 311. That's it. That's what we're known for. That's the bulk of our employees. 24/7, we flex up and down. So when we talk about large events like the DNC, or when we look back at trends, Fridays, Saturdays, hot weather, holidays, we flex up and down because we do have those decades worth of call data to kind of anticipate those staffing trends. So 911, 311. We also have the Traffic Management Authority. So those are all of the people that direct traffic wearing their yellow vests. They also have radios, which again is a force multiplier. So they have their own dispatcher. They are in communication with police and or fire. They are civilians, so they are not law enforcement. They used to be, but when OEMC was created, we started the Civilian Traffic Management Authority. Then we have emergency management, and I'll get to that in a second. Administrative. So all of the grants, all of the pod cameras, police observation devices, all of the radios for police, fire, us, streets and sanitation, all comes through our office. The purchasing, the install, the maintenance, the upkeep, the entire platform, that all comes through OEMC. So when the commander was referencing CPIC and the SDSC room and the cameras and people monitoring that, that all comes out of OEMC. That's where it started. And then that's kind of what we do. We coordinate that for all of the relevant city departments. And then we have emergency management. Much like Director Brooks described, it's the other duties as assigned. So in emergency management, we are broken into 4 different sectors. We have logistics, we have training and public outreach, and actually on the back of the flyer here, become a CERT volunteer. So OEMC, along with CPD, actually Sergeant Shank there, manages the CERT program, Community Emergency Response Team members. We also have special events and operations. That is me in particular. So all of the large scale events, all of the unplanned events, we are the ones that coordinate that. So by municipal code, when OEMC was created, we are the coordinating entity for the city of Chicago when there are 2 or more departments involved. So if it's a regular police call and they need an ambulance, yeah, we dispatch it, we take the calls. But when we talk about these large scale special events, even these large protests, the DNC, the Janet Jackson concert, we are the ones who initiate the planning, and that all starts with the permit, go through that process. Then we do what are called city service meetings with all departments and make sure that all of the plans align. So it's a well-oiled machine. And we do that for every single event. So there is no shortage of meetings at OEMC. In fact, anytime you see a large press conference with the superintendent, fire commissioner, our executive director, it could be about weather, it could be about the DNC, any topic you can think of, those are all held at OEMC in an auditorium much like this, although not as nice, honestly. It's a government building though, Public Building Commission. I love it though. I love it though. So that is OEMC in a nutshell. How much? I got 45 more minutes, right? 2. Oh my Lord. Okay. So day-to-day operations. I understand we are here at the Soar meeting. One thing that was beaten into my head is that we have 240 square miles to protect. So for instance, yesterday, we had the large 4-alarm fire. I was out there with somebody else, which then means everything that I was supposed to be doing and the other person then needs to be backfilled. It is like drinking from a fire hose all day, every day, even when it is quiet. Those 240 square miles, let alone the downtown area, which is not flat, it's vertical. So, and it's subterranean, and you have the lake. It's so dynamic. And each and every neighborhood in Chicago is like that. They all have those unique traits, little quirks, little traffic snafus that are on a daily basis. And then we start throwing in protests, emergencies, fires, school gets out. So it is nonstop. So in addition to OEMC's role, we also have what is called the City Incident Center. So essentially that is 911 and 311 for city services. So when the commander needs a tow truck, that is dispatched out of OEMC. And again, that is another 24/7 operation. So we have 911, 311 is offsite because we can't put all our eggs in one basket. The City Incident Center, which is all infrastructure, dispatch and monitoring, everything from the temperature sensors in the road, you need your tree trimmed, the light is flashing red, that all comes out of there. The CPS Student Safety Center, so they control all cameras and security coordination for all of the schools. So that's just our 3rd floor there. And then the other floors are essentially all of the infrastructure to make sure that, again, as Director Brooks mentioned, communications, it's in our name. That's what we do. We do it on the phone, we do it on the app, we do it in person, we come to the meetings, we have CERT, we do trainings. It's never ending. All day, every day, 240 square miles, making sure that everybody is connected. Everybody's on the same page and has all the same information. And that's the goal at the end of the day. We don't want anyone to say they didn't know. You know, they weren't aware, and it happens sometimes, but at the end of the day, we just push the message out on as many different medium as we can. And repeat the process every single day. So thank you. I look forward to answering your questions. And again, I can stick around a little bit afterwards. I could talk all day on and on about OEMC or anything else you wish. Thank you.
Wow. Who knew about all of that for OEMC? Such a wealth of knowledge. And while you're here, you need to be backfield because there are things you need to catch up on tomorrow. Okay, thank you very, very much for that. Up next, our last panelist, George D. Leonardi has an 18-year tenure at Northwestern Medicine and is currently their Vice President of Security Services and Emergency Management. Previously, George has served as the Security Services Director at Northwestern Memorial Hospital and Security Services Director for the hospitals in the West Region Health Network. With over 2 decades of experience, George is a highly accomplished healthcare security expert, working in a 900+ bed academic medical center situated in downtown Chicago. Geez, as well as on top of the 900, as well as that, 26-bed critical access hospital has provided him with a wide array of experience in security operations. Please welcome the incredible George D. Leonardi.
Incredible. All right. Well, I got something to live up to here. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here. When I got asked to come and join this distinguished group, very honored to do that. And so I always want to kind of level set in regards to Northwestern, right? It gets kind of confusing at times. Northwestern Medicine, Northwestern University, how does it all tie together? And so let me just start there. So Northwestern Medicine is Northwestern Memorial Hospital, certainly. We have 10 other hospitals within the Chicagoland area and around 200 offsite locations. That's my purview. That's what I focus on day in and day out with a team of security directors and managers and emergency managers and directors across the Chicagoland area. Northwestern University obviously has a connection with us as it relates to the Feinberg School of Medicine. And so there's a lot of interaction with them, but we're really 2 separate and distinct organizations. So I cannot take credit for this beautiful auditorium because this is actually the university's auditorium. And so we have a great working relationship with Northwestern University Police and Security Department. And so we're constantly interacting. I always say that we are blessed, especially in this area, to have the Chicago Police, to have the Northwestern University Police, to have security forces at Northwestern Memorial Hospital, at Lurie Children's Hospital, at Shirley Ryan Ability Lab. And all of that together really creates this campus coalition that we really focus on and continue to build all the efficiencies that we can as it relates to how we react to situations in this general area and how we work together to make sure that everybody who comes into Streeterville and to this campus is safe. And so hopefully over the last several years, you have seen some significant improvements, at least from the hospital side, from Northwestern Memorial Hospital. And I love getting calls from Debbie and others to really thank us for the black vehicles that are driving around with Northwestern Medicine on it and the green lights on top. Just another force multiplier for our neighborhood. So a little bit about that program. We hire P4 is the name of the organization. And those are off-duty and retired law enforcement officers that are moving on to their second career or picking up some extra hours, not only from the city, but from the county and the suburban departments as well. And so we have 2 of those vehicles that are on our campus 24/7, and their primary patrol routes are from Chicago Avenue to the north, Grand Avenue to the south, Inner Lakeshore Drive to Michigan Avenue. That is the Northwestern Medicine footprint, and that's why we patrol those areas. And so hopefully you see that advantage of seeing them out there, certainly deterring crime, but also responding to a variety of circumstances. When I read the reports, when I come in on Mondays or any day for that matter, you know, I look at the amount of people who just stop those officers and ask questions or provide some feedback about what they just saw. And then that information comes into our security operations center inside the hospital so that we can react and communicate not only to those officers on the street, but also to the university police and also to the Chicago police. And so for that, I'm very thankful that we have all of these resources and that ultimately it benefits all of you in this room as well. So when you think about some other improvements that we have made, we really focus on, just like the city, our camera approach. How do we create this ability to have eyes in the sky 24/7, no breaks? We can just pull up those images and determine real time and retrospectively what has happened. And so when I got down here probably 6 years ago, we had roughly 50 sensors, and I call sensors because some cameras have multiple sensors on them. We had 40 camera sensors on the downtown campus in the NM footprint. Today, we have 240 sensors, and a lot of that has been significantly impacted because we can put these multi-sensor cameras up on these buildings all around the Streeterville campus. And so to have that ability to know exactly what is happening in real time and retrospectively is ultimately a force multiplier. When Chicago police comes to us and asks for video, especially if it's outside of our campus, we're always very willing to share that information so that they can understand exactly what happened, and whatever information we can share with them, that they can use that information to bring anyone to justice or at least tell the story in regards to what happened. We're also in the process of taking those 240 camera sensors and pushing them to OAMC and to the center over in 18th District. So again, it's just more cameras that they have to monitor and be able to use for anything that they need based on those circumstances. I think about when I started here 6 years ago, and Dan O'Shea was the commander, and then John Hine was the commander, and now Mike Bars is the commander. And every single time I'm more and more impressed with their ability to connect to me, to my team, to be literally available 24/7. When I think about all the craziness of things that have happened over the last 6 years that I've been down here, to have that partnership is just really remarkable. So again, just a plug for CPD, certainly, but also the relationships that they're able to create with us on a regular basis. The last thing I'll say here is DNC. I know we talked about it. And so what is the hospital doing as it relates to DNC? And so why we didn't start last August, we started in December of 23 as it relates to our planning efforts. And then we plug into a variety of different information sources. So we're on a public-private FBI group. We're in a public-private Secret Service group. And then we're also plugged into the city partners, Chicago Department of Public Health. And that's where all of our information comes in regards to all the things that they're planning for and all the things that could affect us. So certainly there could be a mass casualty event in the city anytime, not just during DNC. And so we have to be prepared as we normally are as it relates to an influx of patients that need to be treated, whether it's from, whatever the circumstances that would bring those individuals to us. We have to be able to accommodate those additional patients, and how we're going to manage the traffic, how we're going to manage the clinical treatment inside the emergency department, decompress the rest of the hospital, and make sure that we can manage and handle all those additional patients that are coming into the organization. That's not new for us, but this certainly puts in a different perspective and gets a lot of people within the organization to really focus and listen with us when we're trying to ask for information, planning efforts, on-call schedules, things that they need to do on our team, both physicians, nurses, administrators, so that we all can work together and know exactly what we're going to do and how we're going to do it should we need to activate our mass casualty, as an example. We talked about traveling into the city. I was here in 2020, and I can remember talking on the phone to Captain Biefeld at the time at 2 a.m. saying, "Hey, we've got a blood delivery at Chicago and whatever the cross section was, I forget, and they cannot get through. Can you please help?" He literally got in a squad, went to that corner and got that and escorted that blood delivery to our campus so that we can have obviously the blood that we needed to treat our patients. And so that's the kind of partnership that happened then. And that's exactly the same partnership that will happen when the DNC comes. If roads need to be closed for whatever circumstances, we will work with that team and make sure that we are communicating with our patients and our staff so we can get them into the campus safely. and make sure that we can address any other concerns that it relates to the disruption that DNC or any other event can cause. So with that, I will let Nick take over, and I appreciate everyone's time and thanks for being here.
Okay, now jumping right into it, I am going to, it is my pleasure to bring up an equally as impressive moderator that's going to walk us through our questions. Charlie DeMar here, right here in the front row, is an Emmy award-winning reporter for CBS and a national correspondent for CBS News. Along with reporting nightly for CBS Chicago, he regularly appears on CBS Mornings, the CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell, and CBS Saturday Mornings. Since returning home to Chicago in 2016, he's covered some of the biggest stories impacting Chicagoland area and the country. Charlie was instrumental in breaking several stories in the Jussie Smollett investigation. DeMar's reporting also exposed deficiencies within the Department of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. DeMar's credited for establishing a local crime reporting franchise series at CBS 4 and Fox 59. A native of Chicago, DeMar graduated cum laude from the University of Arizona, where he earned a BA in broadcast journalism and minored in marketing. When he's not chasing down a story, Charlie loves spending time with his family and discovering new things to do in the city he grew up in. Please give me a warm welcome for Charlie.
Well, thank you for that warm welcome. Welcome to all of you. It is incredible to see this room filled. I'll tell you, I have an opportunity to see and attend similar meetings like this all over the city. Not many are as well attended as this one. And that says a lot about you, all the people watching at home online, that you guys care about this community. Tonight, we have a unique opportunity to speak with three leaders of this community, three people who also care deeply, not just about this city, but this community, this neighborhood specifically. It is a unique opportunity to have this intimate discussion. Yes, I'll be asking some of the questions, but you guys are leading the discussion. These questions come from all of you. And as you can imagine, as people who live in this community, you have a lot of the similar concerns. So we tried to aggregate the questions as best as possible to get everyone's question in here. So if you don't hear exactly how you asked your question, again, we tried to summarize all of them to make sure that at least the point got across and we can get an answer from these guys. So we will jump right into it. Commander Barrs, you started off the night with this, so no surprise on where we're beginning this. It is with the teen trends. You talked about it on what's being done to combat some of these teen trends. If you can elaborate it on a little bit more about sort of how that plays into the 18th district's approach every night, and also just what challenges are there with them. I know the suddenness is an issue as well, so I'll let you take it from there.
So we'll start with the suddenness. We always try to stay on top of social media or any other media outlet that will let us know that there's a teen trend. And I think it's important for me to articulate to you that if you see something, please say something and contact us. And no information is redundant. We could use every aspect outlet to prepare ourselves. And one of the things that I did not say in my opening remarks is we try to debrief on every one of these events. So after an event on a Friday, we'll try to have my team and I will sit down and say, okay, what do we do well? What do we do? What can we improve upon? And a lot of that comes from the residents of Streeterville saying, hey, you missed out on this, or you did an excellent job on that. And we just discussed prior to coming here that we really appreciate the large presence early. So we're trying to get them out there as early as possible to show a large police presence there, uniformed police presence there too. So we're constantly trying to navigate this challenge. But as Glenn said too, we are prepared for these challenges. We've done these challenges. We've done protests that happen suddenly, and we're constantly trying to improve. And we appreciate any input that you have. And then going forward, we'll have a large presence when we have teams coming down, learn that they're coming down, flyers that indicate such. And then I hope that you'll be impressed with the presence and the service that we provide.
And Chris, this question is for you. Director Brooks did touch on it in his remarks about the teen trends that people have a right to come downtown. Not everyone who comes downtown comes with the intention to do bad. They want to just enjoy the city like everybody else. So this question really touches on how can we create and promote a safe environment without unfairly profiling teens and young people who are in our city?
Absolutely. It starts with this. It starts with meetings and associations just like this. You're a community, but that doesn't mean that others can't come and enjoy it also. I mean, that's what makes Chicago great. All the different neighborhoods, all the different geography. It really is a beautiful thing. I'm not going to use the word melting pot. It's Chicago, and we set national standards for how we behave, our communities, and our culture. And as Commander Bars alluded to, if you see something, say something. And I'll be happy to pass over to Nick afterwards. We do what is called suspicious activity reporting training. It's a federal standard. It's done by Department of Homeland Security, but that training and public outreach portion of OEM has specific trainings for that. And I'd be happy to share any materials. It's about reducing fear mongering. It's about knowing what to look for when something doesn't look right or it doesn't feel right in your gut.
Perfect. And then Commander Bars, you did touch on the monitoring of it, of social media, open access platforms, that's what CPD has access to look at. Can you touch on what that looks like from officers' perspectives when you are monitoring it, what you're looking for?
So I talked a little bit in the 18th district. We have what we call a Strategic Decision Support Center. You'll often hear it say SDSC room. And what that really means is it's a nerve center with computers. And I invite all of you to come down to the 18th district, tour the 18th district and see this. This is a remarkable room that is a force multiplier for public safety. And we have some of the best young police officers, men and women, that are so savvy in social media and every X and everything that I probably don't know. They're fantastic. We do keyword searching. We do everything that you can think of, location searching, special team searching stuff that I won't give the terms out, but they will get that information. They'll see a flyer, for instance. Let's take it to today. We had a North Avenue beach takeover. They'll see a flyer. They'll send it over to me and my team, and then we'll immediately assess it for likes or credibility. And then we'll try to assess how much resources are we going to put into this? Is it credible? Let's have early people out there to monitor this. Let's go into those protocols that we talked about. Let's go into the CTA ridership. Let's go into rideshare ridership drop-offs in those geo-fenced locations, and then just try to staff it as such. We also rely on the Bureau of Counterterrorism has a unit in there that does social media analysis there. We then get information from them from our CPIC Center or OEMC that provides us information. So there's a variety of different outlets, units, agencies, whether it be Homeland Security, we get a briefing from them every day, FBI. And then we try to take all this information every morning. We do an executive or staff meeting to say, okay, here are all the events. And there are a lot of events in the 18th district every single day, from dignitaries coming to a beach takeover to a protest. I think we've done over 90 protests since December in this area, just alone Michigan Avenue. And we try to assess what resources we need to put in those locations, which is difficult because it's a constant cat and mouse balancing act, how we can properly serve you in the 911 call, but also address these large scale gatherings. So we're getting it from a variety. And again, if you're seeing something, please send us the information. We appreciate your input as well. And then we've had some great success stories from residents saying, hey, there's going to be a party here. There's going to be a large group gathering here. Please monitor. And that's been great for us too. But so there's a variety of different outlets. And again, I encourage you guys to come to the 18th district and see exactly what this SDSC room is.
Commander Bars, you're going to get a workout tonight.
Right.
So obviously, when the Chicago Police Department, they make an arrest, the state's attorney brings charges, the case then goes through the court system. Why are so many kids getting probation even though they used or carried a gun when carrying out said crime?
So that's I understand that's a delicate issue, but the Chicago Police Department's role in that is to make the arrest. We arrest the offender, adult or juvenile. We bring it to the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office will accept or reject the charges. And then if they accept the charges, that case gets assigned to a state's attorney in a courtroom and it gets prosecuted accordingly. Probation and everything else is with the judges, and Chicago Police Department doesn't have a role in that. Certainly we have an opinion or a say, but we don't have a role in that. Our job is to make the arrest, bring charges, get approved charges, and then we assist the state's attorney, whether it be in testimony, gathering evidence, et cetera, in the prosecution of that. And then we really don't have a handle in whether someone gets probation or not.
This is the last one for you until you get a little break for a little bit. This moves into curfew, specifically with Lakeshore Park, that it's open till 11 p.m. And some residents claim, who live near this park, claim that it is unsafe near the park. They feel unsafe returning home late at night. Also, they frequently hear loud music, rowdy noise at the park. The tennis courts are there. Visitors, tourists gather at this park from nearby restaurants and hotels. People think that the curfew should be much earlier. Is there anything done to address that? Can you address the 11 o'clock curfew of the park?
Well, we enforce the curfew as it's written today. But in terms of all of the parks, the beautiful parks we have, Lakeshore included, if there is a large group, people there at say 7 o'clock at night and they're drinking, they're playing loud music, there's a variety of different ordinances in the city that we can address to move that crowd along, disperse, right, ANOVs, effect an arrest if there's a law being broken. But I would encourage you, if you see anything like that, noise violations, et cetera, please call us, because that'll be a response from one of our officers. We will come out to that, whether it be CAPS, myself, or attack teams, whatever that particular call is, we'll address it accordingly. You'd call 911 because you'd want a response from the CPD to that large a gathering at that park, and we'll address it accordingly. And then I look forward to whoever answer that question. Maybe you can come down to the CAPS office. We can address specifically dates, times, locations, and that's just a general question or a response I have is, please call 911 for anything that you deem appropriate, even though it may not turn into be something that, so you have a disturbance or something like that, and it's nothing. We analyze, my team and I analyze all 911 calls for service to see the trends, the dates, the times, the locations. So you may not think it requires a call for 911, but please call and then we'll address it. And it also helps us in doing our analysis. We have a data-driven deployments, and it helps us assess where we should deploy officers. And if we continue to get calls, obviously at the park, then we would obviously address it with more resources. And I just keep the calls coming. Thank you.
Time for a water break.
Yeah.
Thanks, Commander. And then Chris, just generally, when it comes to safety, can you touch on how we can get alerted in advance of activity to be concerned about, and how we can be better aware? I'd say watch Channel 2, but the question's directed at Chris.
Okay. Do you want the long or the short answer? I'm going to say the OEMC app. You can download it on Android or iPhone. Director Brooks alluded to it earlier. And again, it is robust enough that the Secret Service and the DNC said, let's not recreate the wheel. We're just going to push it into your app. And that's only one small part of it. It has everything, weather, traffic, the list goes on and on. So please, that is kind of our one-stop shop. And then also be plugged into associations like this. OEMC co-manages what is called the Public-Private Task Force. And Thursday, I believe they send out basically that week's list of events as they're known. So just that all goes into the app.
All right. And George, as you know, a lot of people in this room work for Northwestern. A lot of people appreciate those blue safety lights. I know there's one right across the street that allows people to call if they need help. It's a deterrent. It's out there. The question is, are there any plans to expand the blue light program? And is there a suggestion on how to remain safe while walking to and from parking lots?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned earlier about Northwestern Medicine and Northwestern University, the university has their blue lights and we have ours. And so their lights go to their security operations center in Evanston and dispatch officers here. For the ones that NM owns goes to our security operations center and we will respond to those. And so we're constantly evaluating where else do we need these. And so certainly in our garages, we have added those as well to the NM owned garages. But again, from a campus partner perspective, where else are these needed? And we meet quarterly with that campus partner coalition group to really understand where we would benefit from additional blue lights. So definitely on the docket as we continue to discuss the improvements in the Streeterville area. Certainly the addition of the off-duty police and retired police officers in the vehicles with the green lights has been a huge acceptable enhancement that we have brought to this group. And so that has certainly been helpful. As it relates to employee safety, when I look at video of unfortunate situations that happen on the streets, most of the time, the individuals are not in maintaining their situational awareness. They're on their phone, they have headphones in, and these situations happen very quickly. And by able to keep your eyes around, looking behind you, looking in front of you, and just maintaining that situational awareness, walking from the hospital, walking from your residence, wherever you are walking, not only in this area, but throughout the city and anywhere for that matter, is really important. And I think that's the biggest thing that I take away. And certainly understanding what other resources are available. If you're an NM employee and you want an escort to your vehicle that's parked at McClurg in Ontario, you call us, give us some notice, and we will bring our car around, put you in the vehicle and drive you to your vehicle. That same boundary from Grand to Chicago and Inner Lakeshore Drive to Michigan, we do 24/7 escorts. We just need that initial notice of 15, 20 minutes so we can clear from our assignment, come out and meet you wherever you are and bring you to that location. And so that is an underutilized service, but certainly encourage anybody who is an NM employee to utilize that because it is very helpful. And many people speak very highly of that service as well.
And this next question, if Chris or the commander, you guys, whoever wants to take it, or if you want to tag team it, I will leave that up to you guys. But is there a list of suggestions or items to buy, actions that people can take for residents, homes, and the neighborhood in general, just to be better protected?
Well, I can plug the CAPS program. We do safety assessments and residents, businesses, restaurants, whatever you want. And I would encourage you guys to call Chris Shank in the CAPS program, and we can actually come out to wherever you are and make safety recommendations. So that's a wonderful program that we offer, and we ask that you utilize that and take advantage of it.
Perfect. And to piggyback off that, we work hand in hand with Chris Shank. So all of those trainings that I alluded to earlier, that can also be included. But at the top of the list, I would say cameras. I was never a believer. I installed a doorbell cam in my own house. And then if you live in a condo building or such as Northwestern, again, any of those cameras that are public facing, not internal, none of those, if they are public facing on the exterior of the building, they can be federated into OAMC's camera network. So the city itself only has about 3,000 cameras, not that many. But we have 70,000 plus because of the federated network. There's only 2 locations that have more cameras. That is London and New York. But if you're in, the Bronx, you can only see, police can only see the Bronx cameras in the Bronx. Whereas in Chicago, it's a federated network. So that it's all compiled where if you have the proper access, the commander can see, okay, is when he's looking at his trends, did that happen elsewhere? And that technology is available.
Thank you. And Commander, the Chicago Police Department is constantly updating, revising how you guys respond to different situations. This question is here in Streeterville. Will the Chicago Police Department ever consider using mounted police or dogs to patrol this neighborhood?
Well, we do use mounted police for large groups or protests, but I would never, we would not use the mounted police just to do a public safety or 911 calls. It's very taxing on the animal for that to occur. As far as canine, we use canine every day. Canine every day responds to whether it be searches for missing people, offenders, offenders' clothing, or things that are dropped, and we're looking for that. They're amazing resource, and we use canine every day for that. So we'll continue to do so.
Thank you. Now Nick's on the hot seat for a little bit. Nick, is there a way to stay in communication? How can we learn about important safety matters that directly impact everyone here tonight?
This is really easy because I'm going to plug Soar. You're all here for the annual safety forum. If you are a member of Soar, your building's a member of Soar, you can contact the Soar office, and I am more than happy to come and provide you guys an hour, maybe 90 minutes worth of building safety talk. It is all on us, but you have to be a member of Soar. And I will say the best means of communication is when I am in direct communication with these gentlemen here on the panel, Sergeant Shank. I am providing the information in the moment as quickly as I can. So at one point, I learned that the smartest person in the room is the one with the most up-to-date and accurate information. So if you are interested in finding out more specifics about how your building can become a safer building, I work in conjunction with Sergeant Shank. He usually attends every single building safety talk that I provide for you guys. So become a member.
Not just here in Chicago, but across the country, the migrant crisis has been an issue in many, many communities. Obviously, we're no longer seeing migrants being housed in police stations and police districts across the city. Can you provide an update on the housing of migrants currently from a law enforcement perspective or an OEMC perspective? And then a second part of this question, are migrants, if they do commit a crime, are they held to the same standard? Do they go through the same judicial process as anybody else?
I'll take that question. We still have migrants at the Inn of Chicago. There's no timetable for them to be relocated. In regards to migrants, we have had to make arrests of migrants for committing crimes. They are held to the same standard as any citizen or resident here. Whatever charge that they are charged with, the entire process is the same, from the state's attorney to the prosecution, et cetera. So they're held to the same standard as all of us are. And in the unfortunate instance where we do make an arrest of a migrant, it's the same process as if you or I were to be arrested.
Thank you. And George, moving on to the DNC now, can you talk about what Northwestern is doing to improve safety? What's sort of top of mind as we do approach the DNC?
Yeah, I mentioned a little bit when I was speaking earlier, about the communication piece and how we're going to communicate to our staff and patients, especially when they're accessing the campus throughout the DNC. And so, as was mentioned earlier, it's going to be some time until we know exact details and when that gets down to the hospital campus and to the campus coalition. And so we use mass notification called Everbridge. That's how we communicate to our staff in real time to give that information. We also have a staff emergency site that we can post information real time. So we're giving up-to-date information to our staff. And then same thing with Epic. There is a MyChart application that many of you probably have, and we can communicate to our patients in regards to those road closures and how they get to our campus based on the information that we're receiving from Chicago Police. So that's really the communication and the pathways that will bring people into the campus. As it relates to safety, I think this is an ongoing circumstance that we're all a part of, right? That it's maintaining situational awareness. It's when you see something, say something. It's relying on those who do this on a regular basis and for a living to support those who see something that needs to be addressed. I think you can all know from the Northwestern campus that we take safety very seriously based on the cameras, based on the additional patrols that we've put in place, our partnership with our city partners. And so all of that together is really part of our safety strategy. For those of you who work for Northwestern, who have access to our intranet, we have a variety of just safety tips in general around how to keep yourself safe on campus, how to keep yourself safe at home. And so a lot of this information is public that you can find on Google. There's nothing earth shattering about the information that we've posted, but it's a reminder, right, of how you need to be, especially in a public setting, knowing that things can happen at any time. And so just making sure you maintain that situational awareness.
Thank you. You gentlemen talked about the DNC as a whole. We still don't know a lot. We're still waiting to learn a lot more. But you guys have been preparing for months for these days that are coming. But the city is still going to operate as it does. So yes, the focus is going to be at the United Center and McCormick Place. That's where the bulk of the people are going to be. That's where changes are going to be happening. But when it comes to just, let's say, this neighborhood, teen takeovers could happen on one of those nights. How does that balance with all the resources that are going to be put and facing the DNC with the city operations as normal?
Want to handle the DNC question, Glenn, or I can do so.
Let's see. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. All right. First of all, I'm starting to feel like it's my weight. You heard my name, thank you so much. Something happened?
Yeah.
So a couple things. So what we are planning for, and this is really key, even though the DNC is a big thing, a bigger thing is the other 77 neighborhoods in the city. And we are focused on that. So you're going to have a large contingent of officers at DNC. You are going to have the same contingent of officers in your districts and neighborhoods. We will be able to flex. Now, does that mean there won't be a lot of vacations that week? Absolutely. All right, we are going to be putting in some long hours, but I can tell you this, we will be focusing, and I'm quite honestly, my conversations in the suite, I go to about 3 to 4 DNC meetings a week. I go to about 12 to 15 meetings about the neighborhoods. All right. We spend more time on the neighborhood. That is still going to be our primary focus. Chicago Police Department is responsible for protecting this city. The DNC is a big part of it. We'll protect it, but we are really focused on this city. Does that answer the question? There you go.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, for your insight. I know there's a lot going on, not just with the summer here in Chicago, but with everything else you have going on. So thank you so much. We can give them a round of applause. Thank you. And with that, to close things out, we will bring Nick back up. Thank you, Nick.
Let's give him a round of applause. He certainly deserves a round of applause. Thank you. We are going to close this down. I do want to thank everyone for coming. What we heard today was absolutely amazing. From DeMar to Mike to Chris to George, thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys. Please tune in to Soar and we can stick around for a little bit afterwards. Thank you so much. And Director Brooks, I forgot to mention you. Thank you, sir.